What's happening, people? Okay, some people are saying that their Netflix stream was cutting out. Mine was as well until I switched to the desktop site. Excuse me, the desktop site. Yeah, when I started using the Netflix on my laptop, it's fine. So try switching to a laptop and you might find that it's better. Because I actually found that the picture quality is better than DAZN. I know some people say it's not hard for it to be better picture quality than DAZN, but yeah, the Netflix picture quality to me was noticeably sharper than DAZN. But maybe that's why a lot of people are having connection issues. Maybe streaming at a higher bit rate, as they appear to have done with this show, takes up more bandwidth. And then obviously there's a load of people watching this fight. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson have broken the internet. So yeah, Netflix are not used to having to stream stuff live, right? They're only just getting into live streaming now, so that might be the issue. But yeah, I was having some buffering problems, but since I switched over to the laptop, it's fine now. Because the laptop, another thing as well is that the stream on the laptop is only 30 frames per second, whereas if you watch the stream on a television, it will be 60 frames per second. And obviously that again uses more bandwidth. So that's what I would suggest. Try watching it on a laptop, on the desktop site, because you might find you're not having any buffering issues. I'm not having any buffering issues since switching to the desktop site. So yeah, try it out. Let me know how it goes. Jamie O'Reilly says that clip of Tyson as a bee is hilarious and bizarre, right? Absolutely bizarre. Why did he dress up as a bee? I never knew what that was all about. Yeah, I agree, Black Dynamite. I suspect that's what DAZN do. They throttle down their streaming quality so that the connection stays more consistent through the event. I suspect that's exactly what they do. I think Netflix tried to go too high with the picture quality, and that's probably why they're having some connection issues. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Simon Brandy says Netflix is 4K. Or isn't DAZN 4K? Pretty sure DAZN is 4K as well. It's not so much about the resolution, it's the bit rate. So you can have 4K but stream at a low bit rate and it's not a great picture quality. But if it's 4K and you stream at a higher bit rate, it's a much better picture quality. And I just think by the looks of it, Netflix have tried to stream at a higher bit rate than the connection will allow for. I'm probably not getting it right technically, but I think that's probably what's going on. I'm probably not using the right technical language, but I think that's what's going on. Yeah, I really didn't watch the fight. I wasn't watching. I watched the Barrios. I caught most of the Barrios fight. And I thought, wow, Barrios, no wonder Conor Benn wants to fight him. No wonder Conor Benn's been after fighting Barrios for so long. when the Barrios fight was over, I started watching somebody who was streaming, doing commentary on the fight, but somehow his stream got taken down, or I don't know what happened there. I only saw a little bit of the Taylor thing just to check my connection on, see how the stream was on the laptop. I really wasn't interested in that fight. I'm watching a couple 12-year-olds flailing away and nobody getting knocked out. No, thank you. Zach Christ said, Tank the 30-year-old prospect. Yeah, who calls Tank the 30-year-old prospect? Is it De La Hoya? Who keeps calling him a 30-year-old prospect? Because they're literally treating Tank with kid gloves still. So in that sense, yeah, he is kind of like a coddled 30-year-old prospect. So let's see what happens with this main event here. If Jake Paul and Mike Tyson can break the internet. At the moment, my Netflix stream seems to be okay on the laptop. Let's see what happens during the actual fight, whether it all just crashes. All right, let's see. The Mike Tyson fanboys really are terrible. They descended upon the comment section of the stream I did earlier, and some of them were just talking the most rubbish. One of them said, "Oh, what are you going to say after the fight when Tyson destroys him? Are you going to still say it was fixed then?" And I'm like, I've repeatedly said in live streams and in my videos that I think the fight will probably be real. I've literally repeatedly said that. These people don't even hear anything. All they hear is that because I'm entertaining the possibility that it could be a staged, scripted fight, that means I'm definitely saying that it is. They don't understand. Anyway, fanboys will be fanboys. And I know I've gone at various fanboys over the years, from the Wilder fanboys to the Fury fanboys, Canelo fanboys, Khan fanboys, AJ fanboys. I'm telling you right now, as long as I've been doing YouTube, the Mike Tyson fanboys are the worst of the worst. I'll tell you, these people are actually crazy. And they love Mike Tyson like you would. They feel like they know him personally. That's the weirdest thing about it, is they actually feel like they know him personally. They've got some kind of personal connection with him or personal relationship. It's stalkerish. I don't know what's wrong with these guys. And again, just to clarify, Mike Tyson is my favorite heavyweight of all time. It's not like I hate Mike Tyson or whatever. I'm not saying he's the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he was always my favorite heavyweight of all time because he was so entertaining. I mean, how often have you seen a Mike Tyson fight that didn't deliver on entertainment? Probably only the Bone Crusher Smith fight. Other than the Bone Crusher Smith fight, I think every single Mike Tyson fight delivered on entertainment. I mean, you might say the Mitch Green fight wasn't massively exciting, but it was all right. It was a decent scrap. But it's only really the Bone Crusher Smith fight that was awful because Smith just held the whole fight. But pretty much every other Mike Tyson fight that I can think of off the top of my head was well worth watching, even if it was a one-round blowout, because nobody blows opponents out in one round like Mike Tyson. Do you know what I mean? He throws crazy combinations and he knocks people's teeth out and does all kinds of stuff. So I loved watching Mike Tyson. I still like watching Mike Tyson even now. I go back and watch a lot more Mike Tyson fights than I do, let's say, Lennox Lewis fights. So, that speaks to the entertainment that I get from watching him. But I'm not a fanboy. I'm not somebody that is in love with Mike Tyson, the man, and Mike Tyson's backstory and the mythology they created around him and all that kind of stuff. Because most of the Mike Tyson fanboys, that's what happens with them. They fall in love with the whole mythos and backstory, and they feel like they know him, and it's just weird, man. And they view the Tyson story and his life and everything about him with these rose tinted glasses, which is based upon watching all these documentaries that have got like sentimental music, you know, all that carry on. It's like, you do realize you just watched the documentary that was designed to make you feel a certain way. You know, the way that they've edited it, the people they've chosen to interview, the music they've put with it. It's a narrative. It's not like an objective look at Mike Tyson's life and who he is and, you know, the relationship he had with custom art. It's not objective. It's designed to tug at your heartstrings and make you feel sorry for the guy. And there's literally very few Mike Tyson documentaries that didn't seek to do that. There might have been maybe one that I can remember, which was a bit more objective, but most of them are just like, you know, tug at the heartstrings. Oh, Mike Tyson, the victim. Oh, he's such an honorable man. And seriously, it's corny. And these fanboys buy into all of it. That's why they act so weird. As I say, there was a Mike Tyson fanboy extraordinaire. I'm not going to mention the name of his channel because, you know, I don't want to get flagged. You get flagged for stuff like that. But there was this British guy who was honestly the biggest Mike Tyson fanboy I have ever seen. He had like a dedicated Mike Tyson channel. And he used to do like tutorial videos. And it was like the most cringe stuff you have ever seen in your life. God help you if you ever discover that guy's channel. Honestly, that guy was an absolute space cadet, but typical of the Tyson fanboys. Oh dear. Yeah, Cedric the Entertainer is there. He used to be quite funny back in the days. Cedric the Entertainer. He's a comedian. For those who don't know him, he's a comedian and he's a comedy actor. So yes, he's, you know, dressed a bit eccentric, but he is a comedian, so I can accept it. His stand-ups were funny back in the days. He actually had a little part in a series of unfortunate events, the movie with Jim Carrey. Yeah, Kings of Comedy, that's right. I used to like, as I say, his stand-up was quite funny back in the days. Cedric the Entertainer. He was also in Barbershop, you know, the Ice Cube films. He was in those. Or in at least one of them anyway. In fact, that's an underrated film, you know, A Series of Unfortunate Events. The series, I think that's a Netflix series, right? That's horrible. But the actual movie is quite funny. It's, you know, at first you think it was a kid's movie, but it's quite dark. And Jim Carrey doing all those different characters was impressive and very funny. So he did Count Olaf, and then he did Stefano.
Well, hello. My name is Stefano. I'm an Italian man, and I'm here to assist your uncle with his research as best I can, as well as to facilitate and remain observatory.
Something like that, yeah. And then he did, what was the other one he did? Captain Sham. He's just a boy barely out of his Oshkosh bagash. Yeah. Definitely like that movie. It's underrated. An underrated Jim Carrey movie, a series of unfortunate events. The way he does all the different characters and he's got different voices and different walks and everything. Very funny. Intellect says he never really rated Cedric the Entertainer. Always preferred Cat Williams. I mean, to each his own, innit? I was never really a fan of Cat Williams, to be honest, in terms of his comedy. I never thought he was that funny at all. But when he's just talking about stuff, when his interviews, I find more entertaining than his actual comedy. I never found his comedy that funny. Or funny at all, to be fair. Okay, somebody says, why does Kate Abdo keep putting an American accent on? Well, isn't she from the north of England? Now, then again, I was going to say maybe she wants to be more easily understood, but they've got Bisping doing commentary for the UFC, and he's got like the most hardcore, what is that? Some weird Lancashire accent. Where's he from, Bisping? Lancashire, Yorkshire border area he's from, right? And people manage to understand him. But yeah, Kate Abdo, I think, has lived in America for a while because she's worked there for a long time. And she's now married Malik Scott, which is the most random thing ever. And the Americanisms in her accent have been creeping in for a while. It's not a new thing. It's kind of like been creeping in over the past couple years. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more noticeable now. Maybe again because marrying Malik Scott. There's Jake Paul. Oh, he looks nervous there. His face. Is he starting to think about Mike Tyson from the 80s? Yeah, when the camera's on him, he tried to put a brave face on it. But before he realized the camera was on him, he looked nervous to me. Mike Tyson, of course, won't be nervous at all with the experience he has. You wouldn't have thought anyway. Fighting a YouTuber. Even if he is as old as dust. As I said in the video, which I think I uploaded yesterday, Jake Paul says that he wants to become a legitimate contender in boxing. You know, whether that's just him talking, whether he actually means it or not, I don't know. But if he ever is to become anything approaching legitimate in boxing, he has to be beating a damn near 60-year-old Mike Tyson. He has to. If Mike Tyson beats Jake Paul, seriously, Jake Paul, I mean, again, I can't say Jake Paul should retire because he's making so much money. How could you tell him to retire? But in terms of him ever being a legitimate contender, yeah, forget about it if he can't beat Mike Tyson. I don't care if Jake Paul's a cruiserweight and he's fighting a heavyweight. Mike Tyson lost to Kevin McBride 19 years ago. Kevin McBride, I'm telling you people, for those of you who don't know Kevin McBride, he was a Dave Allen level fighter. So it's like Mike Tyson lost to someone on the level of Dave Allen 20 years ago. Okay, he's not going to be better now than he was then. I would expect if Mike Tyson fought even a British level cruiserweight today, he would get absolutely battered. I mean, he'd get stopped, I want to say, within 4 rounds if he fought like a solid British level cruiserweight. He gets stopped in 4 rounds. Jonah says if Paul loses, he should fight James Toney next. Not a bad shout, to be fair. If he loses, yeah, might as well fight James Toney then. Intellect says, so wait, Tyson is the B-side? That's odd. Well, yeah, it's Jake Paul's promotion, isn't it? MVP Promotions. And he is more relevant in popular culture today than Mike Tyson is. Mike Tyson is still, kind of relevant. But Jake Paul's got a massive following. Jake Paul's getting paid more for this fight than Mike Tyson. I forget what the figures that they're bandying around are exactly, but they're both getting paid, tens of millions of dollars for this fight, but Jake Paul's getting paid more. CGP says Holyfield keeps mentioning that he wants to fight Tyson, like how Tyson fought Roy Jones. Holyfield got filled in by that old MMA guy in about, was it 30 seconds? And that's the reason that people are worried for Mike Tyson, because Holyfield was a very durable fighter back in the days. And his boxing career continued on much later than Tyson's did, despite being older than Tyson. I mean, he challenged Nikolai Valoev. When was that? Was it around 2009 maybe? 2008, 2009? Maybe it was even later than that. Wesley says Netflix stream crashed in the Midwest. Is it working anywhere else? Yep, Netflix still working where I am. As I said earlier on, try watching it on a desktop rather than watching it on your smart TV or on your phone. Try watching it on a laptop. Use the desktop site. Okay, King says it was 2008 when Holyfield fought Valoev. Yeah. And look what happened to Holyfield when he fought. Was it Victor Belfort that he fought? And he got stopped in like 30 seconds or something. And Holyfield used to have a very good chin. He used to be very durable. But once you reach a certain age, you just can't take shots anymore. So it remains to be seen how Mike Tyson can actually take a shot at this age. And Tyson's legs don't look good. He's already got that knee support on. So the way you'd want to fight him as a young guy is to move, yes, and to throw a lot of punches. Get Tyson to move around on his dodgy legs and throw a lot of shots. Maybe in the first round, Mike Tyson might have a few rushes in him. But, if you go back to the Lennox Lewis fight, God, how long ago was that? 2003 or something? 2002? I forget what year it was. But if you go back to that Lennox Lewis fight, Mike Tyson had about one good round in him. And that's back then. Yes, he was fighting Lennox Lewis. But he literally only had one good round in him. Damn near 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago. One good round, that's it. After that, he was just a sitting duck getting battered. That's when he was in his 30s. And he was similar with Danny Williams. Yeah, he had one good round against. In fact, it wasn't even a full good round against Danny Williams because he injured his knee towards the back end of the first round. And then again, he was just a sitting duck for the rest of the fight, and Danny Williams battered him. That's like 20 years ago. CGP says, Hatman, who do you think Jake Paul should fight that's in his age range if he really wants to become a serious boxer contender? It's a good question. You really can't put him near any of the world level guys. You'd have to put him near maybe some British level cruiserweights. Could he go in there with someone like a Luke Watkins? Maybe he could fight a Luke Watkins, a Waddy Camacho, someone like that. Yeah, Luke Watkins or Waddy Camacho. I would say that's what. And Waddy Camacho, but I don't know if he's still fighting, but he is punch drunk as hell. Anyone heard Waddy Camacho talk? He is terribly punch drunk. So yeah, I would say he could fight someone like that. There was also a guy who... Did Vidal Riley fight some guy? There's the son of a former heavyweight contender from back in the days, called Corliss. What's his son's first name? Something Corliss. Maybe Jake Paul could fight him because he's got no power, but he can box a little bit and he's wily. So if he's ever going to become a legitimate contender, then maybe go for somebody like that Corliss kid, Waddy Camacho, or Luke Watkins. Jordan Thompson, nah. I think Jordan Thompson would actually be too good for Jake Paul, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure Jordan Thompson will be moving up in weight anyway to like bridgerweight. Unless Jake Paul wants to try and fight at bridgerweight, but they've only got one champion, I think, at bridgerweight, right? It's the WBC have got a champion, although I swear the WBA said they were going to venture into the bridgerweight division as well. Was it the WBA or not? Maybe it was the WBO. I forget which sanctioning body, but it was one of the other ones who said they were going to launch a bridgerweight division 2. And Kevin Lorena is the champion at bridgerweight with the WBC. Jake Paul's definitely not beating him. No way on it. No way on earth is he beating that guy. Not that he's an amazing fighter, but you know, he did drop Daniel Dubois a few times, you know, Lorena. And he had a good fight with what's the Australian heavyweight called? That Eddie Hearn's got. What's his name? I forget his name now. It's kind of tubby. Young guy. Somebody jog my memory here. Thank you. Justice Hooney. That's the one. Yeah. Lorena and Hooney had a proper brawl. You guys see that fight? That was a close fight. Ronnie and Willow says, how boring is the American national anthem? I think it's one of the best anthems there is, to be honest. It's just that the singers that they get to sing it F it up, basically, a lot of the time. They're just so extra. But when it's just sung like straight, I think it's one of the best anthems there is. The American anthem. South Africa's national anthem as well is good. Russia's national anthem, even though I don't know what they're saying, I like that one. Yeah, someone else agrees there. He says the Soviet Russia one. Yeah, it's a very good anthem. I have no idea what they're saying, but I do like it. That's right, RG. The American national anthem is sung over a British melody. Yeah, the actual music, the instrumentation for the American national anthem, that was actually British. Ironically, right? Because the Americans and the British were fighting each other. They were enemies during that period. But there was a piece of music, melody and all that, which was popular in Britain and created in Britain, as I understand it. And that became, you know, the melody for the American national anthem, which they say was written by a guy who was watching a battle where the British were bombarding one of the American coastal defenses. Was it Baltimore or something? I forget which battle it was now. And there was some guy on a boat, you know, watching as a journalist or whatever he was, watching as the Americans got bombarded. And that's apparently when he came up with the lyrics. Earth Summed Up says, this isn't a good feeling, 58-year-old man. Yeah, it's a bit of a freak show. I mean, it's a lot of a freak show. But Mike Tyson's career has been a freak show since the mid-90s, really. I mean, there was always like, you know, a little bit of a freak show element even prior to the 90s, before he went into prison. But it was kind of more in the background. Whereas from the mid-90s, it was very much at the forefront. He was just full-on car crash television his whole career from that point, from the bite fight on. Bexy says, how would John Fury and Mike Tyson get on? At least Mike Tyson actually fights. John Fury talks about fighting and claims he's going to do this and that to people, but he never actually gets in the ring and fights anyone. There's been loads of people John Fury's age who've called him out to fight. And this guy is, this is somebody who said he's the best 50-plus-year-old man in the world. Well, he was called out by Mickey Theo. He was called out by Dominic Negus. He was called out by Joe Egan. He was called, several guys in his age range have called him out to fight, and this guy don't want to fight any of them. So, John Fury just appears to be all mouth, you know. Andy Fogg says, I really believe this fight is staged. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I tend to suspect it will be real, but I'm not certain about that. I'm definitely open to the possibility that it could be some WWE nonsense. We will see if real punches start landing. Because if it's real, Mike Tyson is going to try and throw atom bombs at this guy. I mean, they might not be delivered. They definitely won't be delivered in the way that he could even in his 30s, never mind in his 20s. Yeah, here comes Jake Paul. He's coming out in some kind of green stretch limo here. There's some weird, okay, he's got the pigeons in the back. I guess that is kind of a little dig at Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson likes pigeons. And they're spraying him with stuff. What's he spraying him with? Water? Oh, mist? What is that? My stream is absolutely rock solid at the moment. No problems whatsoever. I'm watching on the laptop, on the desktop site. It's been absolutely rock solid ever since I switched to the laptop. You guys were having issues with your stream. What are you watching it on? Are you watching it on your phone or on your television? What are you watching it on? Because, like I say, if you got a laptop, watch it on there instead. Okay, you're watching it on a laptop and you're still having issues. Try changing your browser. Yeah, I don't know what browser you're using, but I'm using Opera because I've got several different browsers. And on one of the browsers that I tried to, play it on, it wouldn't play at all. Some error code came up. So I switched to a different browser and it's rock solid. And I switched to Opera. Yeah, Jake Paul looking kind of nervous to me. But he's trying to shake the nerves off and, get into it here. Which again, if he's nervous, if I'm reading this right, then that would suggest he expects it to be real. Because if he expected it to be fixed, then surely he wouldn't be nervous. We'll see how Tyson is. Well, Tyson wouldn't be nervous either way. He's far too experienced to be nervous, particularly against this level of opponent. A YouTuber. I mean, Mike Tyson, even the one who fought Kevin McBride, would probably do Jake Paul in a round. 2 rounds tops. Intellect says, I don't think Jake is ready for a big venue like this. Most of his fights haven't had this much coverage. Yeah, there can be a level of what's the word I'm looking for? There can an event can reach a magnitude which is beyond what you're psychologically ready to deal with. He's obviously been in the limelight. He's a social media star, YouTuber, and all this stuff. But yeah, sometimes when you reach a level of event, particularly against a certain opponent, a guy who has experience and whatever, it can be different. And even though Mike Tyson is absolutely ancient, he is a guy with, how many pro bouts has he had? Like 60 pro bouts or close to? Jake Paul's never fought anybody like that. What's the best guy that Jake Paul has fought? I know he's fought some good MMA guys, but they're MMA guys, they're not boxers. The best guy he's fought is probably Tommy Fury, isn't it? Yeah, Tommy Fury, that's crazy. And another thing why I suspect it will probably be a real fight is because of the shape that Mike Tyson has got himself in. If it was going to be a WWE thing, then again, if it was going to be a scripted fight, they might have told him, look, you need to get in impeccable shape and this, that, and the other, but, to sell it. But I don't know. I suspect it will be a real fight. We'll see. Because Tyson has got himself in phenomenal shape for a man that age. But he does move like an old man. You know what I mean? Like when you get old, you just lose fluidity and you also lose rhythm. You can't keep the rhythm anymore in your movement. it's like your coordination starts to go. And you can see that in Mike Tyson's movements when he's hitting the pads. Even in the Roy Jones Jr. fight, you could see his arms and legs weren't coordinating like they used to. Yeah, his legs strapped up heavy. A. Zhang says, I think Tyson has too much pride for that. I don't. Again, I suspect it will be a real fight, but I don't think he has too much pride. I mean, look at some of the images on screen, right? When he was in WWE, when he dressed up as a bumblebee. You know, Mike Tyson's a pretty shameless guy, to be fair. But yeah, I'm expecting a real fight. We'll see. And that guy, by the way, he used to be part of Skill Challenge with Prince Khalid. I forget his name. You guys remember that his name? The guy in Tyson's corner there, the bald head, the Arab guy. He was with Prince Khalid. Amir Abdullah. Thank you, Black Dynamite. Yeah. Amir Abdullah. So now he's attached himself to Mike Tyson. It's interesting. Jonah says, crazy to think that this Tyson is only half the age, or is only half as old as Luis Ortiz. Yeah. Ortiz 120 or 116. Someone says, Butters ring girls, hideous. I'm quite surprised that they've got this big Mo announcing this fight. I thought they would have got Buffer or even Diamante. Because Diamante is better than Big Mo. Yeah, Paul does look nervous as hell. Absolutely. He looked nervous from the dressing room. He's trying to put a brave face on it because that's what he is. He's a showman, you know, with his Netflix stuff and YouTube stuff, excuse me, and all that. He's a showman. So that's his facade, right? That's his barrier that he puts up. His bravado and all that. Mr. P1 says, what I really want to know is who do you think is going to win, Hatman? I don't know. How can you predict a guy who's like 60 years old, who used to be a great fighter, fighting a 20-year-old who hasn't boxed in a real fight for 20 years? How do you even predict that? You got no idea. There's no way of knowing whether he's deteriorated enough for someone like Jake Paul to actually be able to beat him. I mean, we know Mike Tyson, even in his late 30s, would have destroyed Jake Paul in a round. But now that he's now nearly 60, as I said earlier on, if it was Mike Tyson versus Dave Allen today, Dave Allen beats him 100%. Johnny Fisher beats him. Anyone like that, any British level heavyweight beats Mike Tyson and they beat him comfortably. Stop him. Even the British level cruiserweights will beat him. But how bad is Mike Tyson now? And how bad is Jake Paul? If Jake Paul's ever going to get anywhere, you know, if he's ever going to be a legitimate contender, he has to be beating a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. He just has to. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has to. 60 year old Mike Tyson. He just has Otherwise, as someone said earlier, if he loses to Mike Tyson, he might as well fight James Toney next. All right, here we go. Let me get this up full screen now. I'll check back with the chat in a bit, and let's see what happens here in this circus. We all probably need to beg for forgiveness for even watching this. This is going to be weird as hell. Let's see what happens. Jake Paul talking, jumping around. See what a 60-year-old man can do. And the main advantage Mike Tyson has here is his experience and his boxing brain. Because he was always a crafty fighter, Mike Tyson. People maybe don't think of him as that, but he was always crafty. He'd pull a lot of crafty moves and counter punches and all this kind of stuff when he was boxing back in the days. All right, Jake Paul throwing a right hand there. Tyson moving his head. Nice jab there for Mike Tyson. Yeah, Tyson's legs are very slow, but the punches are coming over with, you know, plenty of spite on him. Jake Paul trying to move around and stay out the way. All right, it's only 2-minute rounds, of course. We're nearly halfway through the first round already. They're clinching near the ropes. Back to center ring. Jake Paul looks very skittish. Mike Tyson charged at him a couple times in the first round already. Nothing real meaningful landed. Tyson complaining to the ref about the holding. Jake Paul trying to establish his distance, throwing a big right hand. Very, very nervous of the counters from Tyson. Okay, getting his jab off, moving about. Tyson trying to dip low and get in and throw some shots. But yeah, Tyson's feet very, very slow, as you would expect. Oh, big right hand from Jake Paul there. Tyson seemed to take it okay, landed high on the head. Paul moving around, definitely looking to keep this one at range. Tyson, yeah, his feet are already a bit ponderous. Came in with a right hand, which was low. Does Mike Tyson have any more of those charges in him? Because he charged at Jake Paul a couple times in the first round, in the first minute, should I say, but he hasn't really done so since. And now he's stuck on the outside. Uneventful first round, I would say. That's the end of the first round there. Mike Tyson looking older by the second. I mean, how do you even score that? There was nothing particularly impactful landed by either guy. Jake Paul did land a long right hand at one stage, which I think landed high on Tyson's head. I'd like to see a replay to see how well it landed. Might get to see it here. Okay, there's a jab from Tyson that landed. But will they show the right hand from Paul? Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, landed on Tyson's eye. All right. Landed on his eye. That might have been the best punch of the round. You give Jake Paul the round for that punch? Maybe. So it certainly appears to be a real fight at the moment. We'll see what unfolds here. So Tyson, again, stalking. Jake Paul moving around. And that's the thing to do against the guy this old. You know, get him to use those old legs. Tyson trying to throw jabs on the way in, but not very effective. Jake Paul goes for a long right hand to the body. Yeah, Tyson's feet are stuck in treacle. Big right hand from Jake Paul over the top. Tyson trying to counter him there. Jake Paul doing a bit of clowning, moving about. Mike Tyson, towards the end of his career, when he couldn't get his shots off, I'm talking about 20 years ago now, he used to start biting his glove. It was a strange, like, idiosyncrasy. And he's doing it again now. You see him biting his glove? That's something he did in the McBride fight. He started biting his glove out of frustration. And he's doing it again here already, which is not a good sign for him. He's biting his glove. Let's hope we don't bite Jake Paul's ear. Because he's still crazy. Yeah, Jake Paul controlling him now on the outside. Tyson trying to find a way in, biting his glove. But the legs are just not there. You know, his punches are better than his legs. You know, his hands are definitely better than his legs. And the legs, usually with boxers, are the first thing to go. Your legs will go first before your hand speed. You know, Tyson's hand speed is still fairly decent. It's nothing like it was when he was a young man, obviously. But yeah, his legs are painfully slow here. He's got the old man movement. Jake Paul controlling it on the outside. Yeah, that's a Jake Paul round. Definitely round 2. 100%. What you reckon, guys? This guy says legs are still in 1999. He's going to get KO'd 2-0 too slow. Father Time is undefeated. Anonymous says Tyson shouldn't be fighting. Well, you could argue that no man nearly 60 should be fighting. I mean, this was always a freak show. This is always a freak show. We knew that going in. So, all right, Tyson biting the glove again. Jake Paul. Oh, Tyson looks hurt. His leg gave out when Jake Paul landed a little left hand there. Tyson biting his glove again. Left hand from Jake Paul. Yeah, it don't look good for Tyson, this at all. It does not look good for Tyson. Swung a right hand there when Jake Paul came in at him. Okay, big shots from Jake Paul. Tyson trying to protect himself, but looking worse by the second. Jake Paul slinging a huge right hand over there. Tyson just biting his glove, looking for counters, but landing nothing. Jake Paul growing in confidence, you can see here. He knows what is in front of him. A senior citizen. Okay, now he's starting to put some punches on Tyson there. Tyson slings a big left hook back just to let Jake Paul know he's still there and he can't take too many liberties. But yeah, Tyson is very, very static now. $20 left in round 3. Jake Paul in complete control behind the jab at long range, using his legs, using his youth. Tyson unable to get anything on, just biting his glove and moving around the ring painfully slow. Trying to bounce a little bit on his legs towards the end of that round, but yeah. Tyson growing older by the second. You know, when I watched the open workout, that was my impression, is that Tyson looked awful. Like, his movement looked awful. His reflexes looked awful. I was quite surprised to see people say that they thought he looked good at the open workout. I thought he looked terrible. I'm aware he's a 60-year-old man, you know. 60-year-old men generally don't look great, right? When they're throwing punches, but yeah, there was the left hook from Jake Paul, which seemed to wobble Tyson, but it might have not really hurt him. But just because Tyson's legs are unsteady as it is, just because he's so old and decrepit. It made it look like he was hurt. All right, so here we go. Round number 4. All right, Tyson trying to get a little bounce in his legs. Timing is not there. His feet look crazy. Mike Tyson's, his feet are not coordinating with each other at all. He's trying to hold his defense together at the very least. You know, he knows he's in there with a novice. So, Jake Paul trying to go with a big right hand there. Mike Tyson just looking for that one counter. And Tyson looking quite twitchy himself with his defense. You know, he doesn't want to get caught with a big right hand from Jake Paul. So Tyson quite cautious here, moving his head, looking for a way in. Nearly got a left hook on there, and Jake Paul tried to go to his body. Paul getting the jabs off, definitely relaxing and getting comfortable. Mike Tyson a sitting duck. Tyson, I think, has a good right hand to the body from Jake Paul. Again, caused Tyson's legs to wobble. His legs are so unstable at this age. But yeah, Tyson's made a concerted effort in this round to not get hit as much. He's concentrating a lot more on defense in this round, Tyson. He's just trying to move his head and look for a counter rather than rushing at Jake Paul as he was in the first couple rounds. You know, sporadic rushes. So again, Jake Paul in complete control. Coming to the end of round 4 here. Tyson actually moving around the perimeter of the ring. Yeah, his legs look just awful. Okay, somebody says Tyson is still dangerous if he gets inside. This is a freak show. But what else did we expect it to be? It was always going to be weird as hell. See, there's a right hand to the body, which appeared to wobble Tyson's legs. the straight right from Jake Paul. This is so wrong. Oh my days. All right, here we go. Round 5. Will Jake Paul try to turn the heat up and get a stoppage? Maybe Tyson anticipates he might. That's why he's moving his head a lot more. Jake Paul with a nice jab there. Jab into Tyson's body. He's got his arms down now. Looking to apply a little bit of pressure. Tyson trying to jab himself, but falling short. Tyson concentrating on moving that head whenever he's attacked. Oh, that swiping right hand from Jake Paul weren't far off the mark. Tyson's legs wobbled there when he got caught with a jab. Jake Paul putting some shots together now. Tyson again biting his glove out of frustration. Biting his left glove. Jake Paul getting the jab off. I'm sorry. I can't help laughing at Tyson's legs. They just look so crazy. Whenever the camera pans out and you see how he's moving around. Get this man a walking stick. All right, push back to the ropes from the Jake Paul jab. Oh, Tyson nearly tried to come back with a left hook there. But Jake Paul very, very confident at this stage. The best Tyson can hope for is that Jake Paul gets overconfident now and gives him an opportunity to land one big shot. But with Tyson's legs being so wobbly, just from geriatric old age, will he really be able to get enough power in a shot to knock Jake Paul out? I don't know. Jake Paul will have to stand very still, because any kind of movement and it's going to take all the power out of Tyson's shots. There's a nice right hand to the body. Oh, right hand from Jake Paul, but Tyson kind of slipped it. Nearly exchanged left hooks there. That's the end of the round. This could go the distance unless, and many people, by the way, the ones who are picking Jake Paul, many of them picked him to win on points. Unless Jake Paul really steps on it, and it looks like he's going to win the fight. Now, as I said earlier on, this is the minimum, this is the bare minimum that Jake Paul needs to be able to do if he's ever going to be a legitimate contender in boxing. You have to be beating a man who's 60. I mean, I don't care who Mike Tyson. That's a nice right hand by Jake Paul in that round there, which Tyson took pretty well, to be fair, especially for a man his age. Tyson came back. Oh, he actually punched Jake Paul in the throat with a left hook. Didn't land on his, actually landed on his throat, but not with any great force. But yeah, if you're ever going to be a legitimate contender, you have to be beating a man who's damn near 60. So here we go, round 6. 3 rounds to go. Jake Paul again on the outside, peppering Mike Tyson with jabs. You know, this will make people hate Jake Paul even more if he beats Mike Tyson here, especially if he stops him. He's already kind of this villainous type character, and he plays on that. Obviously, loads of people love Jake Paul, but loads of people hate him as well. He's very divisive in that way. But if he stops Mike Tyson, he's going to have, like, you know, I don't know, 100 million more haters. Because he dared to fight an old man. But most of the people that'll be hating Jake Paul for this are people that were picking Mike Tyson because they're like massive Tyson fans. Oh, he's going to destroy Jake Paul. So you can't go from saying stuff like that to then hating Jake Paul for actually winning the fight. That don't make sense. Let's see if Tyson can pull it out of the bag, but he's produced nothing all fight. You might have given him a share of the first round, but other than that, it's been all Jake Paul. So here we are, 40 seconds left in the 6th. Tyson just biting his glove, getting peppered with jabs. Jake Paul looking for a big swinging shot at long range to take Mike Tyson out with. But Tyson's still pretty wily with the defense. You know, he's moving his head at the right times for the most part to avoid taking anything crazy or anything too crazy. So yeah, Tyson's still got the boxing brain in there, but his body just will not cooperate with what his brain wants him to do. Tyson should have fought another geriatric, you know, maybe should have had that Holyfield trilogy instead. All right, 2 more rounds to go. Let's have a look at the chat. People saying Tyson's reflexes are shot. Yeah. Yeah. CPB says this is sad to watch. I don't find it sad to watch, to be honest. The fans are booing. I don't find it sad. I can't lie. I think it's funny. At the end of the day, Tyson knew what he was getting into. I mean, it's a weird thing for a guy nearly 60 to want to do. But Tyson's always been a weird guy. Just what Dean said there. It's not sad to watch when they're both being paid handsomely and no one's really getting hurt, at least not yet. So if no one really gets hurt, if Tyson's okay after the fight, then jobs are good, innit? He got paid tens of millions when he's a 60-year-old man for having a little move around with a novice. Not bad at all. All right, Jake Paul's sticking a jab on him. Still going for a big right hand, but Tyson's a bit too wily. Oh, Tyson trying to come back with a left hook there. Jake Paul with a right hand to the body. Yeah, you can see he's still thinking. He's got his brain is still intact, but the body will not cooperate. Tyson's exercising his defensive muscles in this fight more so than his offensive muscles for sure, because he's just doesn't have the speed, the coordination, or anything anymore to be able to exercise his offensive muscles. But he can still move his upper body pretty well. There's a right hand from Jake Paul, which seemed to glance off Tyson. Body shot from Jake Paul. Tyson didn't seem to like that much. But Paul not really forcing the issue. He doesn't want to get caught with any silly counters. 20 seconds left in the 7th. Oh, big shots from Jake Paul, which Mike Tyson took. Oh, Tyson trying to come back at him. Jake Paul hit him with an uppercut. So Tyson taking the shots better than you would expect a man his age to take them. So that's one thing he still has a bit of. You know, Mike Tyson always had a tremendous chin. Because he was such a formidable, and that's the end of round 7, by the way. One more round to go. Looks like it's going a distance. Because Mike Tyson was such a formidable offensive fighter, and the fact he did get stopped a couple times, people actually, in my opinion, underrate Mike Tyson's chin. Mike Tyson had a tremendous chin. He had a phenomenal chin. You watch even the Buster Douglas fight, he got knocked out in round 10, yeah, but the amount of punishment he took before he eventually went down was crazy. And he was knackered by the time he got knocked out in the 10th. Like, he had a tremendous chin. Well, look at the Razor Ruddock fight. So there's the slow-mo replay of the shots going in from Jake Paul. Yeah, the fights with Razor Ruddock, Tyson took massive shots in those fights as well. He always had a really, really good chin. And in fact, I want to say the only time Mike Tyson got knocked out on the floor from being hurt more than fatigue, I'd say was the Buster Douglas fight. Obviously, he got knocked out on the floor against Lennox Lewis, but I think that was a bit more fatigue than it actually was being hurt. He was hurt, don't get it twisted, but I think the fatigue and just being demoralized is what did it more so than the concussive effects of the blows. But against Buster Douglas, he was properly knocked out. He was, gone. Mike Tyson trying to come back with a left hook there, biting his glove. Jake Paul trying to finish the job. Tyson just swiping back at him with a left hook whenever Jake Paul opens up. So he's looking for an opportunity. Jake Paul swiping with a couple shots again there. Jab from Jake Paul. 48 seconds left in the fight. 46. Jake Paul sticking to the jab, not really forcing the issue. Mike Tyson still wily with the defense. The crowd who are booing, I don't know what they expected. Oh, good shots from Jake Paul. Landed a nice right hand there on Mike Tyson's head. But Tyson taking the shots well. I don't know why the crowd are booing. Like, did they expect Mike Tyson to be like he was when he was, 30 or 35? You can't expect a 60-year-old guy to still be any good. All right, last few seconds of the bout now. Jake Paul bowing to Mike Tyson. Okay, that's a weird ending to the fight. There you go. End of the fight. No one got hurt. Both made loads of money, millions and millions each. They're having a little loving at the end. There you go. Mike Tyson managed to take the shots that knocked out a lot of other Jake Paul opponents. So, he's still got some of that punch resistance there, but everything else is gone, which shouldn't be a shock to anyone really at that age. And because of the life that Mike Tyson has lived, he's abused his body. This is not a guy like, who's lived the Spartan lifestyle of a fighter, either during his career or after. I mean, he's been laying around the past, 5 years, bunning spliffs and doing the toad, taking ayahuasca and all this other stuff. So he hasn't exactly been living the best lifestyle, especially not at his age, to then go in the ring. So, I don't think people should be booing. I think they should have tempered their expectations going in. Not sure what they expected Mike Tyson would be able to do. But as I say, freak show fight. Some questions were answered. Jake Paul has met the bare minimum standard there, because you had to be beating a 60-year-old man if you're ever going to do anything in boxing. I'm repeating myself here, but yeah, that's my summary of the fight. I guess they're going to do the announce the decision here, which is academic. Imagine if they gave it to Tyson. That'd be crazy, right? That'd be a madness. Let's see what the decision is. It should be, you could give Tyson maybe a round. 2 rounds is generous, to be honest. Here we go. The problem child. Oh, he's changed his name now to El Gallo. I thought he was the problem child. Supposed to give a handshake there at the end. Why is Jake Paul not shaking his hand? Yeah, Mike Tyson looked worse in the training in the lead up to this fight. This is something I noticed than he did in the lead up to the Roy Jones fight, which was several years ago. Because as you get older, physical deterioration becomes exponential. So, for example, you're gonna deteriorate in 5 years a lot more rapidly when you're in your 50s than you would have deteriorated when you were in your 40s. So the deterioration from the age of 40 to 45 won't be as great as the deterioration from the ages of 55 to 60. Yeah, it becomes exponential. And as I say, in the training footage for the Roy Jones fight, he looked a lot better than he did in the training footage for this fight. Way better. Let's see what Jake Paul says here. What's Mike Tyson saying? Mm-hmm. I have a biting fixation. Yeah, he used to do that back in the days. He did that in the McBride fight. I think he might have done it in the Lennox Lewis fight as well. I think he was biting his glove in that fight. Is when he gets frustrated and he can't get close to somebody, he starts biting his glove. He's been doing that for way back. And so, if Mike Tyson was that bad, imagine how bad John Fury would be. Yeah, John Fury, the man who storms around acting like he's the best fighting man in the world. Imagine how bad John Fury would be in the ring. See, John Fury's still got the mouth, but in terms of his fighting, it's going to be diabolical. Far worse than Mike Tyson. John Fury's fighting. Uh-uh. Why is Mike Tyson saying he wants to fight Logan Paul? Oh my God. Tyson wants more money again. Logan Paul is definitely worse than his brother for sure. But he'd still probably beat Mike Tyson, right? People still booing at the end. Like, shame on the people who are booing. They should be booing themselves. You know, the fight I'm interested in. Shout out to Craig Boxer, by the way. Big up, Craig. He says Tyson should have dropped the "I broke my back" just for the just for a laugh. That would have been a great move. I broke my back. Spinal. Yeah, that would have been great for the Bants. The fight I want to see is Eddie Hearn versus Oscar De La Hoya. Obviously, Oscar De La Hoya should destroy Eddie Hearn with ease, but Hearn was almost acting like he was serious. He was being sarcastic, but he was doing one of those weird ones where he wanted to make you think he was being serious, and then he'd admit he was being sarcastic. Then he was like, "Well, not really. I do think I could fight Oscar. I'm too big and so." Yeah, I'd like to see Eddie Hearn get in a squared circle in front of a big crowd like this and fight Oscar De La Hoya. If not Oscar De La Hoya, then Eddie Hearn versus Leonard Ellaby. We need to see those guys fight. Eddie versus Leonard. Because Leonard acts like he's some kind of tough guy. Let's see Eddie versus Leonard Ellaby. Yeah, exactly, Craig. I don't get the booing. It was a freak show. You should have known going in that it could have ended like this. This was a very possible scenario, right? It's a man that's nearly 60. Like, you can't expect too much of a man that age. I guess people are easily fooled by, cleverly edited training clips or something. I don't know. Grind says scripted. Yeah, I don't think the fight was scripted. What I saw there didn't look scripted to me. It just looked like a very, very old man that had no legs. He just had nothing. So now I don't think the fight was scripted. I agree with that. Metaversal Threat says, I think it needed scripting. It actually did need scripting. It would have been more entertaining if they'd scripted it. It did need scripting, to be fair. Sosa says, Mike Tyson has the biggest fanboys. Has it always been like this, Hatman? Yeah. All my life. Someone says, who does Jake fight right now? George Foreman? Shout out to 1-1. Big up. Big up 1-1. Someone says we need Vince to jog on down mid-fight, slide in, blow his quads out again. Yeah, Vince McMahon's all sorts of messed up now, isn't he? Vince McMahon, he can barely walk these days. What's all that because of? Is it the roids? It was crazy during the Attitude Era when Vince McMahon went from like a normal man to all of a sudden being blown up with all these roids and coming in and wrestling people. What a weird situation that was. And the best era in WWE history was the Attitude Era. And I like WWE or WWF as it was then in the 80s and early 90s before the Attitude Era with Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and Brutus the Barber Beefcake and all the old school guys. The Iron Sheik. But the Attitude Era was the best. Raw is war, yes. Yeah, Vince was a marketing genius. That's a whole fact. Vince McMahon was a marketing genius. Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind. Afro Jam says McMahon is in a similar position to Diddy right now. Yeah, I mean, the talk about McMahon being a very shady character was there for years and years and years, you know. But in a professional capacity, the guy was a marketing genius, no doubt. A lot more talented than Diddy. Still don't know what Diddy's talent actually was. He couldn't rap. He didn't really produce. He couldn't dance, even though he was trained in dancing. I don't know what his talent actually was. I guess he was a record label owner, and I don't know. Was he good at marketing? I mean, I didn't really see what Diddy did that was so great throughout his career. Yeah, this was a weird thing with him. Maybe he had the right connections because he grew up with a dad who was heavy in the streets that made a load of money. That's why he grew up in Mount Vernon and not in the hood. And he went to good schools, did he? Because he had, there was some money there. Joel Schulman says, Hatman said the truest thing about Tyson. This guy's been shameless for years. This is not a surprise, admittedly. Yeah, it's just a continuation of what he's been doing since at least the mid-90s. Nick says, Mike Tyson is really good for his age if you actually think about it. 8 2-minute rounds at 58 is a huge achievement. Yeah, you could definitely see it that way. And particularly when he just got paid, what was it, 20 million or something? That's the real achievement. What 58-year-old ex-champ can get in there and fight a guy in his 20s and get 20 odd million? Has that even ever been done before in the history of boxing? Maybe not. Mike Tyson may have actually made history here. The highest paid boxer ever over the age of 50 or something. Yeah, I had to put the bee suit video in there. I put that together for the Tyson fanboys. I know they'd appreciate that one. Sosa says, do you think Jake could have knocked him out if he wanted to? Yeah, if he'd really gone for it and made a concerted, sustained effort to take him out, he probably could have done it. But I do think Jake was genuinely a little concerned about the counters from Tyson, because whenever Jake Paul did start opening up, Tyson would always come back with counters, or most of the time. So I don't think he wanted to leave any chance there that he could embarrassingly get caught with a big shot against a 60-year-old man and get taken out. Rain Man said, Tyson fanboys are now having a meltdown and the realization is finally kicking in that Mike Tyson is old. I forget which commentator said this originally. It might have been one of the British commentators, or was it Ian Dark, or maybe it was one of the British commentators quoting an American boxing writer. But I remember them saying this at the back end of Tyson's career in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they said that Mike Tyson is like Godzilla. Because in the Godzilla films that they've been making for, decades and decades, Godzilla always gets killed, right? And no matter how many times Godzilla gets slain, the public still want to see Godzilla. They still believe in Godzilla, no matter how many times they see him slain. And that's what Mike Tyson's career became. We're talking about late 90s, early 2000s. That's what he was. He was like Godzilla. No matter how many times people saw him get beat, they still believed that he had a great performance in him. And Tyson's aura, his mystique was so powerful that even now at the age of 58, a lot of his fans thought he had a great performance in him. He was completely washed up 20 years ago. Matt, shout out to Matt for the super chat. He says, Taylor Serrano 2 might have been the best female fight I've ever seen in my life. You know, one thing I'll say about Taylor Serrano is that cut was absolutely terrible. And this might sound funny to some of you guys, but I wonder whether if that was a male fight, they actually would have stopped it. But being a female fight, they may have wanted to let it go on so as to not look like they were being too protective, you know, and coddling the females because that might be offensive to them or whatever. But seriously, that cut was terrible. And a lot of male fights would have been stopped on that cut. Grind says, what did you think of the Netflix production? I thought it was good overall. Very slick. Other than the buffering issues, and there were some buffering issues there, I thought the picture quality was much better than DAZN, and that might have been part of the reason that they had some buffering issues, because they were streaming at maybe very high bit rate, and that caused some problems. But yeah, I thought the picture quality was very good, and once I switched to watching on the laptop, I didn't have any buffering issues from that point. Solsa says the commentary was awful. I quite like that guy who used to be on Showtime and also did wrestling. I quite like him. Afro Jam says sound quality was excellent. Yeah, I found the quality of the sound and the visuals to be good. I thought it was decent, and I look forward to watching more sports. Shout out to Mr. Blackman for the super chat. He says, I don't think Tyson fanboys are as bad as Mayweather fans. Floyd fans thought that Floyd could outpoint a prime Roy Jones. I think, yeah, I mean, you know, we can agree to disagree, but I think the Mike Tyson fans are the worst, because they say that Mike Tyson is the greatest fighter of all time, and that if it stayed with Kevin Rooney, it would have gone 100-0. And all this, you know, all this carry on. And at the end of the day, Mayweather never lost, so his fans can always rub that in your face. So he never lost, right? So from a logic point of view, they've got more of a leg to stand on, claiming that Mayweather's the greatest of all time, whereas Mike Tyson lost on numerous occasions throughout his career, but yet his fans are still adamant that he was the greatest of all time. The man lost in his 20s. It's not like he was some washed up old man when he lost. He was about 24 or 25 when he lost to Buster Douglas, February 1990. But somehow with Mike Tyson, oh no, he was finished by then. What, by 24? I don't know. How many fighters are finished by 24? Shout out to Matt again for the super chat. He says, L judges tonight though, 118 to 110 was horrible, plus Barrios 116, 110. Yeah, that was horrible. Barrios looked very poor to me, and I can see why Conor Benn is so keen on fighting him, because Barrios looks like he's a cherry, to be fair. He's a champion, obviously, but he looks like food. Shout out to Ben for the super chat. He says, Floyd right now versus Jake, who you got? See, that's a more... That's more like a real fight. I mean, not like I knew who was going to win this fight, to be fair, because it was just so bizarre. You know, what has Tyson got left? How bad is Jake Paul? I don't know. Let's wait and see. It's going to be weird, whatever. And it certainly turned out to be like that. Mayweather, of course, has been a lot more active than Mike Tyson, and he's a lot younger. I don't know. It's probably a competitive fight. It's probably a competitive fight. Would I maybe edge towards Jake Paul? How old is Mayweather now? Like 46? 47? And he's already fought Logan. And Logan was beaten, but Logan had a few moments in there against Mayweather. And Jake is a lot better than his brother Logan. Like, way better. Matt says, what does the Barrios win look like on Tank's resume now? These fighters ain't aging well. Yeah, what does it look like? Yeah, not particularly great. Barrios doesn't look like a talent at 147. He really made his name from what? The Keith Thurman fight? Is that where he made his name from? And Thurman hasn't been anything like world level for many, many years. What happened to Keith Thurman, by the way? You know, ever since he married that Indian woman, she's Indian, right? Married some woman from India. And then he started, you know, playing the flute and sitting cross-legged in parks and whispering to birds. He might as well have moved to India and become a guru or something. Because ever since he married that woman, it's like he weren't serious about boxing anymore. Oh, Sri Lankan was she? Okay. Yeah, somewhere out there. He married that woman and then I don't know what happened to him. Intellect says Thurman turned into Dalzim. Well, Dalzim could fight. You know, Thurman, all the fight just left him when he married that woman. Okay, someone says Nepalese. Yeah, maybe he got into all her spiritual stuff, you know, from her culture. And Thurman, I just remember him doing the bird whispering, the cross-legged, playing the flute, and tie-dye T-shirts like some hippie from the 1960s, 70s. Don't know what happened to Keith Thurman. It's weird. Okay, shout out to Matt for the super chat again. He said his trainer died and it affected Keith bad. Is that what it was? So it had nothing to do with the woman that he married? Because it all seemed to happen around that time when he married the woman. See, that's something that a lot of people claim. Nathan says, women make the legs weak. My old trainer used to say, Thurman lost it. Eastern mysticism. Yeah, Thurman got into all the Eastern mysticism. It seemed like his focus wasn't on boxing anymore, but instead learning yogic flying or something, you know? One says Tyson was so exciting. He was scary, man. I enjoyed watching him more than anyone else. When he came out of prison, he wasn't the same, in my opinion. Even at his best, he is nowhere near the best of all time. Yeah, Mike Tyson, I always give him his flowers. The most exciting heavyweight, in my opinion, of all time. We've never seen anyone like Mike Tyson before or since in terms of just pure electrifying excitement. From round one, this guy was on your neck. There was no feeling out process. He came flying out of the corner like a bat out of hell, looking to take your head off. And that's why he was so loved. You never had to wait for a Mike Tyson fight to warm up. It was instantly hot from the start. So, yeah, Tyson was fantastic for boxing, you know. A shout out to Matt once again for the super chat. He said, I give props to Tyson for going 8 rounds, though. He got hit so much and didn't go down. Props to him for being a punching bag for 20 millis. Yeah. You know, Mike Tyson, always had a very strong will. And to even get in shape, never mind going the 8 rounds, to get in that kind of shape at 60 years old nearly is a massive achievement in itself. Yeah, that's a massive achievement in itself. I'm like 14, 15 years younger than Mike Tyson. And getting in that kind of shape at my age is hard. So getting in that shape at 68, that's crazy that you managed to get in that kind of condition. So he's always had a very strong will, Mike Tyson. Shout out to Ben for the super chat. He says, what's next for Jake? He can't beat Canelo. Yeah, the Canelo thing's just... Obviously, it's a bag for Jake Paul. Hopefully, Canelo wouldn't stoop that low. I'm sure Jake Paul was serious about fighting Canelo because of the money he would get. And if you lose to Canelo, well, you've lost to Canelo, right? But I hope Canelo wouldn't stoop that low. Tommy rematch, somebody said there. Yeah, Tommy Fury rematch, I think would be good. I reckon that's a decent suggestion. But if he wants to fight real boxers, I said earlier on in the stream, you could fight someone like Wadi Camacho, or he could fight, who's the other guy I mentioned? Wadi Camacho was one of them. Luke Watkins, and there was somebody else. Afro Jam says Alan Babbage. That's quite a rough fight for Jake Paul, but it's not a bad shout because Alan Babbage can't take a punch anymore. But that's quite a rough fight for Jake Paul, I think. It's quite rough. Because Jake Paul isn't particularly good. You know, and Babbage obviously isn't good, but he's been fighting a long time and he's still young enough to be dangerous with his attacks. If Jake Paul can catch him with a big shot, maybe he can do him, but Babbage can still sling some, you know, heavy leather. So that's I don't know, I guess it's a fight that Jake Paul could consider. Matt, shout out for the super chat. He says, Jake versus Opataya. We were trying to get Jake killed. Hell no, Jake versus Opataya. That's like a crime. Steve Robinson, somebody said. Yeah, maybe Steve Robinson. Maybe Steve Robinson. A heavyweight, big guy, but absolutely terrible. Couldn't be easier to hit. So maybe a Steve Robinson, yeah, if he wants to start moving up the level of opposition a little bit. Someone says Cash Ali. I think Cash Ali's too good for Jake Paul, to be honest. Not that Cash Ali's particularly good, but I think he's too good for Jake Paul, personally. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I think he's too good for him. Someone says Dave Allen. Dave Allen's too good for Jake Paul, in my opinion. I don't think Jake Paul at this stage could beat Dave Allen. Matt is determined to get Jake Paul wiped out here. Shout out for the super chat again. He says, you're right. Jake versus Moses Atamur or Makhmudov. Damn, you really don't like Jake. Let's stick him in there with killers. No, I think if Jake's going to fight, you really have to go slow with the level of opposition because he's really not very good. He can punch a little bit for sure, but, you know, once you start putting him in with like guys in their 30s or 20s who are proper pros that had proper amateur careers and stuff like that, is going to get very, very sticky for him. So I would say cruiserweight, take on some area level, domestic level guys who are not particularly good, like the names I've mentioned previously. Jake versus Marcellus Wilder. Marcellus Wilder, oh my gosh. Jake would knock him out in about a round. Marcellus Wilder was terrible. Oh my gosh. Marcellus Wilder is one of the worst fighters I've ever seen. He had one of the worst chins I've ever seen, Marcellus Wilder. No punch resistance whatsoever. A light breeze would have knocked him out. Conor McGregor. Weren't they talking about that a while back? Hang on, why am I getting some loud sound here? Hang on. Okay, it's my Netflix making noise. Yeah, weren't they talking about that a while back? They were saying Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor, but McGregor's got legal problems right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's got some legal issue right now. Okay, Matt now suggesting Jake versus Foreman. Foreman is how old? 70 something? 78? That's 78 years old. Jake Paul could win that fight though. He could win that fight. In fact, I'd expect him to win the fight. But shout out to Matt again. He seems to like these weird matchups. And I can't lie. The matchup tonight, I did find it funny watching it, you know, and at the end of the day, nobody got hurt. They both got paid handsomely. Inappropriate humor. I'll put it down to that. I was laughing all the way through the fight. Leo says, Hatman, can you see Jake Paul getting knocked out in a fight? Or if he fights anyone that's actually even halfway decent, yeah, sure. But presumably he's going to try and avoid that at all costs unless he gets one of these crazy fights that he's been looking for, like Canelo. Jake versus Ibeabuchi. I'll be interested to see if there's footage of the Ibeabuchi fight that's coming up. To see what he looks like. He looks terrible in the gym. You know, he's got all the prison muscles and what have you, but his boxing looks terrible. Seen him hitting the bag and moving around in the ring. He looks disastrously bad. A shadow of a shadow of a shadow of the man he was before he went into prison. Matt says, what are your thoughts on the Benavidez Morrell undercard? Yeah, I was talking about that in the previous live stream. Let me see if I've got it up here. Oh, actually, no. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about another fight. I haven't actually looked at the Benavidez Morrell undercard. Is that fight on BoxRec now? Let me check here. Benavidez Morrell. Let's have a look. David Morrell. Okay, it is up. All right, T-Mobile Arena. On the 1st of February. Oh, wow. Okay. Because I'd heard that they were going to fight, but now it's official. Let's have a look at the undercard here. We got Brian Figueroa versus Steve Fulton. That's a good fight. That is a good fight. Figueroa versus Fulton. Yep, that's definitely a good fight on there. Benavidez Morrell main event is a good fight. Isaac Cruz versus Angel Ferrillo. Or, God, how do I pronounce that name? Fierro? Fierro. I think Fierro is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure if I've seen him fight. Okay, he's a Mexican. Let me have a look at his record here. I don't think I've seen this guy fight. Not that I can remember. If you've seen him fight, let me know what you think of him. Obviously, we all know Pitbull Cruz. We got Jesus Ramos taking on... Oh, Rosario. Okay. Banana. Always found that to be a weird... a weird nickname Rosario's got there. Yeah, that's a good fight too. Rosario versus Banana. I don't even want to ask why he's called Banana. Because it might be some Diddy business, you know? Why is the guy called Banana? Turtle says, who remembers Celebrity Deathmatch? Yep, I remember that. With the little figures made out of plasticine or whatever it was. Clay. And they used to have them wrestling matches and obviously kill each other in the end. Black Dynamite says, the more I'm looking at these Tyson gifts, the more ridiculous it looks. Yeah, I did all right with those gifts, right? I put them together because I wanted to annoy the Tyson fanboys who might tune in. I wanted them to be annoyed. But at the same time, I wanted to show them that, you know, Tyson's been doing ridiculous stuff. It's nothing new. It's not some like fall from grace recently. He's always been doing weird stuff and, you know, making a fool of himself for many, many years. David Smith says, do you think Tyson Fury will be doing fights like this when he's 58? Maybe. It's possible. You do wonder what else he would do, you know, without boxing. So, yeah, I wouldn't put it past Tyson Fury. I mean, he's been talking about it, right? He's been talking about fighting, having fights way beyond. In fact, I've now come up with an opponent for Jake Paul. All right, so if Matt is still watching, this is the opponent for Jake Paul now. Shannon Briggs. That's who Jake Paul could fight next. He's a bit younger than Mike Tyson. He's a lot bigger than Mike Tyson. He was fighting in proper pro bouts far more recently than Mike Tyson. Still keeps himself in relatively good shape. Shannon Briggs is the guy who, if Jake Paul wants another go around like that one, he could fight the cannon, Shannon Briggs. And Shannon Briggs is not as geriatric as Mike Tyson. He's still got a bit more legs about him, and from what I've seen anyway. Terrible stamina, but I think he'll pose more of a threat when he swings them big shots over. Yeah, the build-up would be hilarious with the cannon. Robert says Shannon Briggs would also get beat. He was finished in 2016. I agree, but I think he's got more left than Mike Tyson. Yeah, I think he's got more left than Mike Tyson. And because he's a bigger guy, you know, Shannon Briggs is like 6'4", he'll be able to land jabs. Yeah. Because with Tyson, because he's only 5'10" and Jake Paul's like 6'2", he just froze him on the outside and moved around and peppered him. With Shannon Briggs, in order to land shots, Jake Paul's going to be the one with the shorter arms who has to dart in and land some shots and then get out. And Briggs will still be able to land jabs on Jake Paul, hit him on the shoulders, hit him on the body. So that might be the natural next fight, actually, since he wants to fight pensioners. Since he wants to fight these old men, might as well fight Shannon Briggs. And Briggs says he's up for it, by the way. Before the fight, Briggs was saying that he would destroy Jake Paul. But didn't Briggs train Jake Paul? Or was he training Logan Paul? I swear Shannon Briggs was training one of the Paul brothers. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, he trained Logan. Yeah, but I heard Briggs say that he would destroy Jake Paul. So he's up for the fight, apparently. Might be the natural progression. Matt says Jake will most likely fight Chavez Jr. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. That's actually a good shout, Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. is a complete and utter up. Yeah, he's a complete and utter up. So that is actually a really good shout. That's a really good shout. Turtle says Chavez would wreck him. I'm not so sure about that, you know. I reckon Jake might be able to beat Chavez Jr. I know Chavez Jr. is not that old, but yeah. Anyway, peeps, I'm going to end this stream here. Shout out to everybody for locking in. Shout out to everybody in particular who donated via Super Chat, especially Matt. And everyone else who joined in. Ben. And all the rest of you great folks. So, yeah, I'm going to turn this one in. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peeps. Be good.